Radhe Radhe, a spiritual good morning to one and all on Saturday, 17th September 2022. Mummy and I are here to record our recap video for today's Bhagavad Gita study session for the Chapter 6 series.
Radhe Radhe, everybody.
First thing, in fact, before I share my screen, I do want to mention that in case you're not familiar with these classes and why the recap videos are recorded, please go ahead and take a look below in the description section in the page that you're seeing for this YouTube video. And you can get familiar with information and links about the class, as well as other opportunities from a JKYog and a Radha Krishna Temple of Dallas standpoint. So feel free, if you want to pause the video right now, again, take a look at the description section below. If not, go to it at the end of this video. Again, we have information on how you can join this class. Every Saturday, we meet at 8 a.m. Central Time, Dallas, Texas, 6:30 p.m. India time on Saturdays. And again, there are links to the Bhagavad Gita book that we use, as well as other helpful references. So just wanted to put that out there. With that, I'll go ahead and share my screen and look at what we covered in today's session. 2 verses, chapter 6, verses 8 and 9, after the usual quiz questions. So chapter 6, verse 8, catchphrase, divine dirt, as a question. We often might think the response to that is, really, is that going to be true? Do you expect dirt, mud, or earth to actually be divine? But truly, that is what we have learned in today's chapter 6, verse 8. So here, in this ebook version of Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God, we see from Sri Krishna himself that yogis who are satisfied by 2 concepts of knowledge, regular knowledge, which is Gyan, from gurus and scriptures, and then realized knowledge after absorption and contemplation, knowledge that is awakened from within, Vijnana. Yogis have both those aspects. And then, of course, with conquered senses, Vijitendriya, they are then able to see everything, the specific examples being dirt, stones, and gold, all as the same. So this is really this equipment that they have of both kinds of wisdom, theoretical wisdom and realized wisdom, that helps them get above all the glitter and shimmer of otherwise worldly objects that we might run towards. Everything is treated in the same way and viewed the same way, because that, again, coming from this Maya and material energy of God, just like the senses, everything as an object can also be used for the service of God. In fact, an important English word to present here today, we've seen before also, is communion. So that very intimate spiritual and divine connection or union with God, with the Supreme. So something for everybody to remember. Several important Sanskrit words, Mummy might cover a couple of them, but in essence, that is the purport or content for chapter 6, verse 8. Mummy, in fact, I should ask you to recite that verse.
Yes, thank you, Gagan. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta Ityuchyate Yogi Samaloštashma Kanchanaha. So there are some very important words here, and I would want you to look at Kutastho and Vijitendriya. Kutastho means to be steadfast, when you are really situated strongly in the Jnana and Vijnana. And then the other word is Vijitendriya. Vijitendriya means Vijit. It is a compound word, Vijit plus Indriya. That means Indriya are your senses and Vijit means to conquer. So the person who has conquered his senses. So let's move to next verse.
Yeah, chapter 6, verse 9. Catphrase there was, I'm partial. So it's a question, but as we said in class, please do ponder about that. Sri Krishna tells us in chapter 6, verse 9, that true yogis have an impartial intellect. So coming up here now on the screen, impartial intellect, as well as impartial between the righteous and sinful. Equanimous, again, very, very oft used word. equanimous in terms of behavior and approach, and vision and treatment to friends and foes. So chapter 6, verse 9, we see that in the continuation of, as we said, the three verses, chapter 6, verse 7, then verse 8, and now verse 9, where Swamiji had said in the commentary for chapter 6, verse 6, that these three verses now describe the symptoms of somebody who is elevated or advanced in yoga, yog arudaha. So just to take you back to chapter 6, verse 6, very end, in the italics portion, that's when Swamiji had given us a preview that the next three verses, which we just finished covering by today, talk about symptoms of someone who is yog aruda. Back to chapter 6, verse 9, we saw some helpful Hindi quotations and shlokas also to be able to recognize God everywhere, everyone as a fragment of God, and also this very helpful hierarchy of how different stages of our spiritual practice will help us recognize which level we are at with regards to equality of vision. The starting level is that if you recognize that everybody is a divine soul and a part of God, you treat them equally because they are all divine souls. In fact, now I remember Swamiji often addresses us all as divine souls. Number two is, as you get more elevated, that higher point of vision is God himself as Paramatma is seated in everybody. So then you are going to look at everybody with equal respect and that sort of vision. As Mummy reminded us, this is why we say Namaste, right? I bow to the fragment of God, the portion of the God that is seated in you, and vice versa. And then finally, the very, very highest level is really recognizing that everyone, not just as a soul, not just with God seated in them, everyone, in fact, is a form of God. So souls as tiny fragments of the supreme super soul, God himself. And so that is where Hanumanji's Ramayan saying is very helpful. He sees the face of Sita and Ram in everyone. When one gets to that stage, that is the highest level of that equality of vision. So that in essence is chapter 6, verse 9. Final comment is also just the connection we made to chapter 5, verses 7 and 18, and chapter 4, verse 24. So we encourage you to go back to those, the verse covering, the vision, samadarshanaha, pragina, chakshu, with regards to a dog, an elephant, etc. The oblation, Brahman, the offering, the ladle, etc., all being God, seeing God in everything. And then also the three words we covered. So that's chapter 5, verse 18, I believe. Vijitatma, Vishuddha Atma, and Vijitendriyaha. With Vijitendriyaha, I'll pass it back to Mummy to talk us through more words and I think the recitation.
Yes. So chapter 6, verse 9. Suhrinmitraryudasina madhyastadvesha bandhushu sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhirvishishyate. So how, when we move from the stage of Arurukshur to Yog Arudasya. Arurukshor means you are in the lowest step of the ladder. And then Yog Arudasya, when you move up the highest ladder, highest step of the ladder. That means now you have become a real yogi. That means you have subjugated the senses, you have conquered the senses, you have Vijitendriya, you have won over your senses, and you are kutastha, you are not getting disturbed, you are equanimous in any situation. And how? Because you have become a triptatma. Triptatma means you are a content, you are a fully contented person, you are yourself is contented, tript. So that is when you can slowly have this hierarchy of vision, whereby first you look at people as parts of God, then you think God is sitting in them, and the third one is they are themselves God. This is what we are trying to learn from these two verses, Krishna is trying to teach us how, with different spiritual practices, we can learn to connect our mind, attach our mind to God, and slowly, slowly, with this knowledge, we make it, with this gyan, knowledge, we make it vignan. That means we make it as realized knowledge, that from within we understand that this is how we are supposed to behave in our life, whereby we remain undisturbed by different contrasting situations and we remain equanimous and we start seeing God in everybody. So now, if you want a full detail of this is just a recap video. Why? Because we are facilitating these free online classes at Radha Krishna Temple of Dallas. And so to have a full view of the class, do join us. These are all free classes. We have given the link down below in the video. Until then, we'll see you next week on 24th of September, 8 a.m. Dallas time. And that is, our time is Saturday morning, and for India, it is Saturday evening, 6:30 p.m. So hopefully many of you can join us. Until then, you enjoy this recap video. Thank you and Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you, Mummy. And also just coming up, starting from Monday, 19th September 2022, we would like to encourage and invite you to a new series for the Navratri festival on Mahishasur Mardini Stotram. So Mummy and I will be presenting that and helping everybody learn and understand it and also get to chant it. So about 3 weeks or so of classes every morning, every weekday morning, starting Monday, 19 September 2022, 6:30 a.m. Dallas, Texas Central Time, 5 p.m. Monday evening onwards, India time. Till then, thank you so much and Radhe Radhe.